everybody's gonna pay. 'Cause the $1 Million Man always gets his way. Money, 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 money. Some might cost a little. Some might cost a lot. But I'm the $1 Million Man. And you will be bought. Money, money,
Hello everyone and welcome to CKTV, YouTube, the Kyoster here, and I'm here to tell you some news as regards the gaming world, the gaming industry, and we're going to talk about the fall of THQ. One of the top American gaming companies for over the last 15 years has closed its doors. Well, it had gone bankrupt a few weeks ago. It had announced about the bankruptcy, and then they have been selling a lot of their products very, very cheap online and stuff in bundles. And as we know, just this last couple of days, it was announced that there would be an auction, and the auction took place today in, I understand, in the east of America. I think it was Connecticut, I'm not too sure, but it was definitely in the east of the United States, and it was in Delaware actually. And I can tell you that there was a lot of big companies in there to take up a lot of the assets that THQ had on their books, if you will. And some of these companies are such as Ubisoft, Activision, Electronic Arts, of course, which have the EA Sports company under their wing. Cryware, THQ, which includes 2K Sports, which have a lot of very good games. Also, Rockstar Games belongs to THQ as well. Also, companies like Sega, who have been around for a long, long time, and other major companies in the world of gaming we're all at this auction, and the news has it that a lot of them have picked up some of the assets that THQ had. THQ decided to sell all their to sell all of their assets separately rather than selling everything. So in the long run, it would be of more financial interest to the company. So it makes sense. So we're going to talk about now some of the games that THQ have made famous over the years. You've got Darksiders, which has just been out in the last few years, very popular title. Also the Saints Row series, which is kind of like the Grand Theft Auto series, but a lot more in the fantasy world kind of thing. You have Assassin's Creed, the series Assassin's Creed, which is among hardcore gamers is up there in the top 5 probably of the greatest franchises. You have, of course, the Metro series, you have the South Park series, and you have the series that is probably the dearest to me. It is the WWE Games library. Over the last number of years, since 2001, the WWE Games library has been owned by THQ, and WWE Games they have worked under THQ. But over the years, it's been some great titles. THQ known for their very detailed games. As we've seen in the last couple of WWE games in particular, they are very, very detailed. Some of the creation suites are unbelievable. But here's the thing. One of the things that have really been bad in THQ, as far as THQ goes, their servers, their online servers are very untrustworthy. They're not very trustworthy as far as getting on there. Say you might be able to get on at 6, 7 in the morning. You could get on at maybe 2, 3 in the morning. You mightn't be able to get on at, say, 10 in the morning or 4 in the afternoon or 7 or 8 at night. So it's very, very patchy as far as the times where you can go on and download content such as characters, arenas and all for the wrestling games, or download content such as DLC or whatnot. So the online servers were a big problem in the games I play for THQ, but I'm sure for all of the games. But I have understood that as far as the online servers goes in gaming in general, some of these companies that have come in now to try and take away the THQ games, to try and buy them out, some of them have bad online servers as well. So if we're looking at who we want to take over the WWE franchise, well, it's going to be it's a tough call, because not all of them, for us that like the creation suites and like to recreate the past with the creation suite, it might not be good. A lot of people there, gaming enthusiasts, are saying, wouldn't a wrestling game be great owned by EA Sports? Wouldn't a wrestling game be excellent owned by 2K? Wouldn't it be great owned by Rockstar? But it might be great for a modern fan, but for someone that's into the old school stuff, it mightn't be so good. But then, if you look at all the titles they've done, THQ, over the years, it's a shame after all these years, since 1999, that is 14 years. Yeah, 14 years. And it's unbelievable that now they have went bankrupt. And they're still existing, I understand. They still exist, but just about. And they'll have enough money to pay for the games that are already being made and get all them out of the way, and then they'll close down eventually. But I understand there's a lot of big companies coming in now, and today the auction took place. There's no totally there's a couple of sold products already. We are, of course, 5-6 hours ahead here in Ireland, so some of the stuff is still going on at the auction, but so far there has been a bit of news coming out of there from that auction that's taken place in Delaware. We can tell you that another big controversy that has happened between the WWE and THQ is that WWE and Vince McMahon are very, very upset about something in particular. THQ owes the WWE $45 million, and that is one of the big things that is a hot topic as far as this whole thing goes. All over the internet, it's talking about this $45 million that McMahon has been owed by THQ to do with the probably contracts to do with the last game, or contracts to do with WWE 14. But as we go on in this program now, we will tell you that there has been a big development that has transpired over the last hour or so. Just about an hour ago, something big happened. We'll get to that in a minute. Right now, I can tell you that these are the particular transactions that have taken place so far. We can tell you that Koch Media is another company that have taken over couple of the games. Sega has agreed to purchase Relic. Now, Relic is THQ was the parent company of Relic. Relic is the developer of Company of Heroes, the Company of Heroes series. Also, we can tell you that Warhammer 40,000 Dawn of War has been taken over by Sega also. So Sega has purchased two very valuable assets from THQ right there. Also, Koch Media, the owner of Dead Island publisher Deep Silver, has agreed to purchase Saints Row and their particular developer Volition, which is a big acquisition also, considering that Saints Row is probably maybe in the top 3 big games of this last couple of years. A lot of talk has been all over online, all over the internet about Saints Row. And for wrestling enthusiasts out there, because I know you watch my shows, Hulk Hogan played a character in the last game, Saints Row 3. That's just a bit of trivia for y'all. Now we can tell you also that the Metro franchise has been taken over by Ubisoft. I understand Ubisoft, who have been game makers for this last 10 years or so, have acquired from THQ the Metro franchise. So many have been changing hands over the hours that have passed. Crytek, who is currently developing Homefront 2, has purchased the rights to the Homefront franchise, which is big. That is like that. For example, that would be like Yuke's Media Creations, which is the developers of WWE games, purchasing the whole WWE series from THQ. As we know, THQ are the makers, Yuke's are the developers. Before this whole thing happened, Take-Two, who are the parent company of 2K and of 2K Sports and Rockstar Games. 2K Sports, of course, own the NBA series. Rockstar Games own Grand Theft Auto 5, which is coming out, and owned Vice City and San Andreas, of course. Take-Two have agreed to purchase Turtle Rock Studios, and of course they were renamed Evolve. Their project that Turtle Rock Studios are working on has been renamed Evolve, so they have been purchased by Take-Two. Ubisoft has purchased South Park: The Stick of Truth. South Park, of course, was also owned by THQ, and we can tell you now that Ubisoft has made a beeline for South Park: Stick of Truth. THQ Montreal, which is a studio, the Canadian studio from THQ Montreal, the current developer of Assassin's Creed, the newest Assassin's Creed game called Creator Patrice Desilets. That game has been now taken over by Ubisoft also. So Ubisoft have taken over that game along with the South Park game as well. We can also tell you Sega have made a bid of 26.5 million for Relic, which is, of course, the company that owns Company of Heroes 2. So Sega have made a big bid for them, and over 26 million. So also we found out assets including Darksiders Studio Vigil has not been acquired, but there has been talks with several companies about that particular game. But now we can tell you a bit of news that has just happened over this last hour. I just told you that, of course, it's happened just about an hour ago at this stage, but we're going to tell you now. A few days ago, the WWE used their contract clause. WWE Games parted company with THQ. Now that was big. They have cancelled the contract with THQ. That meant that WWE Games was not a part of this particular auction. So everybody thought today that WWE Games, the fate of WWE Games was going to be decided at this auction today. That was not the case. So it's a kind of a breath of fresh air for WWE Games. They cancelled their contract because they had that clause and they got out of this particular auction. So that meant WWE now, and Vince McMahon, who's very, very particular about his products because he is, of course, fond of the cash, he has decided, and WWE have decided, that they are going to decide, they're going to have it in their own interest, and it is in their interest to do this. They've decided they are going to be in charge of the future of WWE Games, and that's probably the best outcome yet. Because the thing is, if EA took over, the servers aren't great. If EA were going to start a game from scratch, all the progress that has been made with THQ and Yuke's would probably go down the toilet. So the chances are now that EA, they're not going to be coming in for... There is actually a rumour, and the rumour is very, very strong. I think it has just about been confirmed. It's still pending, but stuff's happening. It's all in the works at the minute. 2K Sports, which is the company that owns several, including the NBA, several franchises in the world of gaming. And 2K Sports, I can tell you now that 2K Sports, just as of this last hour, has been making the WWE has made an overture to 2K Sports to take over the WWE GAMES franchise. That is big. That is going to make a lot of progress in the world of gaming from WWE Games, and the chances are we're going to see a lot better games as far as commentary, as far as presentation. Gameplay might change a bit, but it doesn't have to change much. It's very good. And as far as the historic content goes, the nostalgia side of it, 2K have presented that very well in other sports games over the years. So we're looking at maybe 2K Sports coming in to make the WWE games and maybe keeping Ukes on board, which would be good because they wouldn't have to totally revamp the thing. They could use what has been done already for WWE 14 and then make a great game for WWE 15. But we'll see what happens with that. Also, we can tell you all this stuff happening. That bit of news about WWE being taken over, or WWE perhaps selling the rights to 2K Sports. They got out of the deal with THQ just at the right time before the auction, and that's big, big news. Okay, folks, that's all for this particular program. We're going to see some clips now of the history of THQ, the history of WWE games. We're going to be back with you in our next episode, which will be all about the history of the WWE games with THQ, and that will be coming at you very, very shortly. So, Kyoster here, talking about the gaming industry, talking about the big developments today, and I'll talk to you later. Kyoster, over! And out.
Everybody's got a price. Everybody's gonna pay. 'Cause the $1 Million Man